Okay, everybody, so are you looking to move from the state of Oregon to the state of Idaho? Are you wondering, hey, what's it like? What's the difference in cost of living? What am I going to be in for? And do I have it better than I think I do? Is Oregon cheaper than Idaho, or is Idaho just slightly cheaper? That's probably some of the things you're thinking about if you're thinking about moving to Idaho from Oregon. We actually decided to make this video specifically because we made a video about California to Idaho and the differences in cost of living. And that video was strictly on my personal experience, being that I moved here a year and a half ago almost from the state of California to Idaho, to the Treasure Valley area. So I actually had a lot of experience living in California in a couple different places and knew how much those things cost from my personal experience. And I also know how much it costs here because I live here now. So I had a request from a customer online that actually asked me to do a video on the differences in cost of living from Oregon to the state of Idaho. Doing some research, figuring out how much things cost, I put together a video for you guys, so hopefully you enjoy it. This will give you an idea of the average cost of each individual expense and how much it costs here based on averages in my personal experience. So if you can like and subscribe to this channel, that helps us out a lot. It gets us in front of you faster whenever we make new videos. You get notified. We have a bigger audience that we can get our information out to, and it grows our channel for us and helps us out. So if you wouldn't mind, that helps us out tremendously. Otherwise, sit back, relax. Let's get into the cost of living differences between the state of Oregon and the state of Idaho. The first thing that I always like to start off with, because this is kind of the thing everyone thinks of first, is the electric bill. What's electricity like in Oregon? Being that I didn't personally live there and I never got an electric bill in Oregon, I went ahead and looked up the power rates in Oregon and see, hey, what does it cost per kilowatt? One of the things right off the bat in Oregon that I noticed is that Oregon has something similar to California where there's on-peak and off-peak times. And I don't know exactly what it was in California as far as when the shift goes, but because I just researched Oregon, it looks like Oregon has summer rates and winter rates. In the summer, you have, I believe it was 4 o'clock until 8 o'clock that you have peak hours. And then other times you don't have peak, it's off peak. And in the winter time, it looks like you split up and you have the morning when the sun first comes up. You have peak hours right before it gets hot outside, right before the sun's shining the hottest. And then you have it in the afternoon as well. You have peak. Every other time is considered off-peak. One of the things about Idaho that's super nice is that we don't have off-peak or on-peak. So when you're dealing with Idaho Power, which is the power company that I use here in Idaho in the Treasure Valley area, we have one rate all the time. It doesn't change. It's always the same rate. So our rate here in Idaho is 8 cents per kilowatt at the time this video was made. I don't see anything changing that anytime soon, but of course it could. But right now it's 8 cents. So in the state of Oregon, it looks like it's 26 cents per kilowatt for on-peak. And then there's a 7-cent credit per kilowatt on off-peak. So it's 19 cents per kilowatt off-peak. That will change depending on what time of year it is, like I explained earlier. That's one thing that you can expect is it is quite a bit cheaper for electricity here in Idaho. Okay, so let's talk about gas, natural gas. So natural gas in Idaho, and it seems in Oregon as well, just from research, is separated. So in some markets in California that I lived in, it was all one, like SDG&E, San Diego Gas and Electric, or Pacific Gas and Electric. They all combined it. So when you got your bill, it was gas and electric all together. Here and in Oregon, it looks like it's separated. In Oregon, it looks like you're going to pay $1.21 per therm of gas that you use. And here in Idaho, it's 58 cents per therm. So just from my personal experience, so I pay about, in the wintertime when it's the coldest it's ever gonna get, I pay about $100 a month for gas. And that is having several heaters running. I have a garage heater that heats up the garage when I'm working in the garage. I have a house that's kept at about 69 or 70 degrees. So, and we use a fireplace, a gas fireplace, along with our other utilities like gas stove, we have a gas water heater, so on and so forth. I can't give you what it would cost in Oregon. It depends on where you live, I think, and how cold it is. If you're in the mountains and whatnot, if you're closer to the coast, it might not be as bad. So it just kind of depends, but that just shows you that the actual rate that you pay for gas is about half as expensive here in the state of Idaho versus the state of Oregon. Gasoline for your car. So what's it going to cost to fill up my car? On average right now, it seems that we in Idaho are about 70 cents per gallon for regular unleaded gasoline, cheaper than it is in Oregon. That just shows you that it probably will fluctuate up and down. Obviously, the gas prices have been going kind of crazy lately. But the difference between the two places shouldn't change a whole lot. Usually we don't end up having our prices go up and other places go down or stay stagnant. So right now it's about 70 cents difference. But the strange thing is that because of the diesel crisis that's going on right now, we have about the same price of diesel as Oregon does. It's almost exactly the same right now. Diesel is about the same, but regular gasoline is about 70 cents less per gallon as of right now in Idaho versus in Oregon. Another one is going to be the homeowner's insurance. Homeowner's insurance, of course, is going to vary depending on what policy you get, how big your house is, that kind of thing. Maybe you're in like a fire area or not in a fire area, or it's heavy snow. There's a lot of things that could change what your homeowner's policy costs. But there's national averages and there's also state averages. So the state average in Idaho is about $65 per month for the average residence in Idaho. And the average in Oregon is about $80 per month. So me personally living in Star, Idaho, having a brand new residence in Star, I'm paying about $45 or so, give or take, per month for homeowners insurance. It does vary. I'm paying less than the average in Idaho, but it does vary kind of a little bit. So it looks like it's about on par with Oregon. It might be a hair cheaper. It kind of depends on where you live. Right. And so for internet, cable, satellite, that kind of thing, it seems like it's pretty much the same. So here in Idaho, I pay about $65 a month for extremely high speed fiber optic internet. Other places may not have that accessible, so you might have to get some kind of a dish or Starlink or something like that. But from my research, it looks like it's about the same in Oregon versus in Idaho. Okay, and so water, what does water cost? So city water in Oregon on average is about $76 per month on average in the state of Oregon. And in Idaho, it's about $40 per month in the state of Idaho on average. Just because I live in Idaho and I don't live in Oregon, I can give you my personal experience from Idaho. So my personal experience in Idaho being that I'm in Star, and we have a little bit different water in Star than everywhere else as far as the rates go. We pay a flat rate here in Star. So I pay about $75 a month, but there is no real difference. Every month it's the same to the penny. That could be good or that could be bad, but that's just how it is here. I know other places around me don't do that. They meter it and they charge you per how much water you use. Every state has a little bit different way that they do registration for their vehicles. Idaho is a little different than California was. Oregon's a little different than Idaho. How do they do it in Oregon? It looks like they changed the amount they're going to charge you based on miles per gallon, based on the type of fuel it uses, so on and so forth. But the average that I could find out for a normal car, like non-diesel, just a normal car, passenger car, it looks like about $110 per year for vehicle registration. And then in Idaho, it's about $65 per year. The only difference in both of those scenarios would probably be if the car was like an electric car, like a Tesla or something like that. It does go up, and every state has that just because you're not paying the gas taxes whenever you fill it up. But those are just for normal passenger cars driven by gasoline. All right, so you might be asking yourself, is there anything cheaper in Oregon than there is in Idaho? Well, actually, yes, there is. So the sales tax is 0 in Oregon, but it's 6.5% here in Idaho. So that's one thing. If you buy something in Oregon, you're not going to pay any sales tax. And I'm sure if you live there and you're looking about moving out, I'm sure you know this. But the tax rate here in Idaho is 6.5% as of right now. And so the final thing that I wanted to bring up was income tax. So what's the difference in income tax between living in the state of Oregon and living in the state of Idaho? The income tax in Oregon ranges from 4.75% of your income to 9.9%. So that's the scale of the income tax in Oregon. And in Idaho, it's 1% to 6.5%. So the most you'll ever have to pay in state taxes is 6.5% in state income tax. It is quite a bit cheaper, and everybody's scenario is different. Some people might make a lot more money in income. Some people might have a lot more money they spend on stuff as far as spending on buying things and have to pay sales tax. The amount of money it's going to cost you differently from one place to the other is going to vary per person, but in general, as you can see from watching this video, it is usually a lot cheaper in Idaho than it is in the state of Oregon. So hopefully this helped you out. Hopefully if you're living in Oregon and you're trying to find a place to call home that's not Oregon, and you're looking at, hey, Idaho's close by, why don't we look at Idaho? Idaho's beautiful. Idaho has really nice scenery. It's a little bit less populated. It's a little bit less crime, that kind of thing. Maybe I should look into Idaho. Well, hopefully this video helped you try to figure that out. Hopefully this video helped you kind of narrow it down and figure out what's it really going to cost me difference-wise in Oregon versus in Idaho, and is it worth making that move for money-wise? So anyways, hopefully you like this video. Give us a call or check us out at our website, which is idahopulse.com, if you have any questions for us. Like and subscribe. Otherwise, hopefully you enjoyed the video, and good luck in your real estate endeavors.